The office was a dull cage, pale with flickering lights and soft hums of printers, where time moved slowly after lunch and froze altogether at 5. But there was one thing that made the end of each workday tolerable: our little routine. Every evening, as the sun dipped behind the concrete skyline, I and one of my colleagues would walk to the park just down the street. It wasn't anything grand, just a few trees, a winding path, and a row of worn-out benches, but it was our place. Our breath would soften in the evening air, and the smell of street coffee would swirl around as we talked about the small nothings of life. That day, like many before, we were there again. 2 paper cups in hand, slouched over the wooden bench, laughing and half serious about the bizarre things we had seen or heard. My colleague was in the middle of a tale. Something about a trip gone wrong in the northern hills, a ghost, a narrow escape. The kind of story that made you laugh and shiver at the same time. His voice lowered as he spoke, and the shadows under the trees seemed to stretch a little longer, as if they too were leaning in to listen. Then came the voice. Someone was calling my name, loudly, sharply, a name pulled like a thread through the air. At first I thought it was my friend, maybe teasing me or adding drama to his story. But when I turned to him, his mouth was shut, mid-thought. Confused, I looked around and saw him. He stood just beyond the path, beneath a dying street lamp. His clothes hung in folds of dirt and time. His hair was tangled like the roots of an old tree, and his hands trembled with a strange stillness. At first glance, he looked like a beggar, one of the many we see every day and grow blind to. But his eyes, no, they were not the eyes of someone lost to the world. They were sharp, almost ancient, as if they had seen too much to ever forget. I didn't want trouble. I told him politely at first that I had nothing to spare, but he didn't move. He stared. And when I grew annoyed and tossed him $1, half hoping that would make him go away, he looked down at it, then back up at me, as if I'd thrown him a stone. He didn't take it. He simply turned and walked away. I tried to laugh it off, shake the unease off my shoulders. My friend shrugged. Street people could be strange. We finished our coffee, said goodbye, and I walked home through the blue evening. I share a rented flat with my sister and her husband. It's a modest place, on the edge of the city, just quiet enough for the nights to feel long. When I reached the gate, I stopped short. He was there, the same man, standing in front of the building, not begging now, just waiting, as if he'd been standing there since I left the park. My chest tightened. I reminded myself, beggars go everywhere. It was probably a coincidence. He asked for money again. I reminded him that he had refused it earlier, but he kept pressing. His voice was low, nearly inaudible, but something about it itched at my skin. Just to be done with it, I handed him $3. He didn't flinch. He asked for more. That was enough. I turned and walked inside. My footsteps hurried. The apartment was empty. My sister and brother-in-law weren't home yet. I showered to wash away the chill I couldn't quite name, then sat with my laptop to finish some work. The screen glowed softly in the corner of the room. The time read 7:33 p.m. I had a show to catch at 8, so I knew I had time. I dove back into work, but when I next glanced at the screen, something was wrong. It still said 7:33 p.m. I frowned. The clock must have frozen. I reached for my phone. 7:33 p.m. again. I stared. A cold ripple moved down my spine. It wasn't just the laptop. The room felt off. Still, like it had been paused. The sounds of the city outside, traffic, vendors, kids playing, were all gone. I stepped out to check on the neighbors. No one answered the door. The garage was empty. I called for the caretaker. No reply. The road outside was usually chaotic at this hour, alive with people rushing home, dogs barking. Now it was silent, empty, not a single soul. The air felt thick, as though the world had turned to glass. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, and my breath caught. Then I saw him again. Standing at the other end of the road, the beggar, but something had changed. His eyes, they glowed now, a violent, bleeding red, not glowing like a light, but like an ember that never cooled. And he was watching me, not with hunger or anger, but with possession. My legs refused to move. I couldn't scream. The world had narrowed down to just the two of us. He walked closer, each step sounding like a bell toll in my ears. And when he was near enough, he leaned in and whispered something that turned my bones to ash.
No one will come. You're in my world now.
My knees buckled. I pleaded. I begged. I don't even remember what I said. Just a string of apologies, regrets, promises. Anything to make it stop. Then, suddenly, sound returned. The distant clatter of a passing cart. Someone calling out a name. A hand on my shoulder. A neighbor, concerned. People were all around again. They asked why I was crying. I said nothing, because how could I explain? Back home, my sister and brother-in-law had returned. They said they had only been gone a short while. I nodded, silent. That night, fever took me. My skin burned and my mind spun in circles. I stayed in bed for days, too weak to rise, too afraid to sleep. I don't know what happened that evening. I've told myself it was hallucination, stress, a strange coincidence, nothing more. But deep down, I know better. Time doesn't stop by accident. Roads don't fall silent for no reason. And no beggar calls your name unless he already knows you. Sometimes I still feel it, that strange stillness, like something just behind a curtain of reality is waiting for me to look away again. Sometimes I glance at the clock and see 7:33, and I wait. But most of all, I remember his eyes. They weren't just red, they were full of stories. Thousands of them. Stories of people like me who laughed at danger until it answered back. And I remember the whisper, "You are in my world now."